All right, so let's do the ceiling. So I'll come in and pick the ceiling and go to edit type and duplicate that. And it's just going to name it ceiling 2, which is fine with me because we're in scenario 2. I'll click OK. Just remember to duplicate. And then if I go to the structure, I can then update my ceiling structure. So I'm going to put plaster on this one. So for this guy, I'll just type in plaster. See what we've got. There's plaster and lath. I'm not going to use lath. There's some tan textured. You can see the knockdown and the coarse and the stipple and the orange peel. They have those by default, which is interesting. I'm just going to use this regular plaster here and push that up, right? And so if I come in and take a look at this, I can use render appearance, go to the appearance, and you can see it's using these guys. I could image fade it, and maybe if I wanted to give it a little bit of color, I could come in and say, I wanted this to be sort of a brown, so maybe I wanted it to be sort of beige, and I'll click OK, and it'll sort of change that color a little bit. If I go to the graphics tab, I can come into the foreground, and if I want to put like a stipple on it or something so I know that it is, I can put that sand on it and click OK. And click OK. And now that plaster needs something to be applied to, and it's probably 1/4 of an inch, right? So about 1/4 of an inch thick. And so now I need to insert a layer and grab some chipboard, right? So just get gypsum board, and click OK. And this guy will be 5/8 of an inch. And then the gypsum board has to be connected to something, right? Because if it's dropped, then we're going to have some kind of structure holding that gypsum board up. And this gypsum board will actually be a substrate. And so I'll insert structure and I'll make this metal studs, right, that have been hung, right? Oops, metal stud, right? So metal stud layer and click OK. And I'll make that 3 5/8. Although it doesn't have to be that. It could be smaller, but we'll start with that. And then basically what I can do at this point is push the finish and the substrate out of the structure, right? And leave the metal stud layer as the structure. And then if I click OK and click OK, you'll see this guy thicken up, right? So now that guy is thickened up, and moved up, right? So now I have that ceiling. And then now that I'm done with that, let's take a look and see kind of what's happening in these others. You can see the updates, for these guys happening, so there's the thicker, and you can see we'll need to go in and adjust the ties. But if I come in here and flip this to option 1, you'll see them all go back to the original one. So if I go to option 2, now those guys are showing. And so what I want to do here is make sure that option 2 is always showing on this sheet. So when we come back, we'll do that.